considered are teaching the boys to dive or look for alternative access to the caves. Jim Warney of the Irish Cave Rescue Organisation says that could take a very long time.
It could be 1 kilometre below ground in a straight line down, which if they're going to do any drilling or if they're going to search for any other entrances, that could take a very long time.
That's it for now. More in an hour.
News Talk Weather.
Thanks to Des Kelly Interiors. With our high quality bedding at low cost prices, you're bound to sleep soundly at the new look Des Kelly Interiors.
Continuing warm, dry and sunny this evening. Dry and clear tonight with patchy cloud in southern coastal areas. Lowest temperatures of 9 to 14 degrees. And now you're up to date on News Talk.
Off the ball.
Thanks to Screwfix.ie, championing the trade with a dedicated call centre.
This is News Talk.
You're very welcome along to this evening's Off the Ball. It's Richie McCormick here with you right through until 10 o'clock tonight. On tonight's show, naturally, we're on top of England versus Colombia. There are 3.5 minutes played at the Spartak Stadium in Moscow. It's still scoreless, although football is definitely coming home. We'll be speaking to Keith Andrews in the immediate aftermath of tonight's game, and we'll also hear from Kevin Kilban live from Moscow just after 7:30. We'll have the latest instalment of Rishtard's Russia with Rishtard Cooper joining us here in studio tonight as well. The countdown is on well and truly to this year's Dubai Duty Free Irish Open, and we'll catch up with Padraig Harrington on tonight's show as well. LeBron's off to LA. We'll talk The Decision #2 with John Gonzalez from The Ringer. That's on the way just after 8 o'clock. Plus in the football show tonight, Julian Lorenz will join us to talk the making of a superstar. Kylian Mbappe's 2-goal haul against Argentina has plummeted him to the stratosphere, and how France must adapt to face Uruguay. That's coming up this Friday. 53106 is our text number for 30 cent. At Off the Ball is where you find us on Twitter, and we're streaming, I'm reliably informed, on all your social media platforms right now. So we'd like to hear from you. 53106, as I say, is the text number. Kieran Cunningham, Chief Sports Writer from Irish Daily Star, joins us in studio. How are you?
I'm good.
And Neil Tracy as well from outside the office joins us as well.
How are you, Richie?
Thank you for coming in all this way, Neil.
Very welcome.
It's great to have you here. There's a lot of buoyancy, both in English terms and even on RTE in terms of how England might do in tonight's last 16 tie. But this, courtesy of TalkSport, might take the biscuit. The England fans over in Moscow are particularly excited about potentially going all the way.
I think it's the best chance England have ever had to get to a World Cup final in my lifetime, and I'm 27, so I'm quite confident, mate, yeah.
And you beat Colombia, is it coming home?
Hopefully, mate, it's coming home. I've got a flag that says it's coming home, so hopefully. And I've got flights booked and a hotel booked for the final, so we hope, mate, we hope.
Right. He's got a flight booked for the final. He's got a flag that says it's coming home.
Well, it's guaranteed.
And it's the biggest and best chance in his lifetime, which is all of 27 years, to see David Ospina punch away.
Well, if you want, Richie, if you want an omen as well.
Go on.
Their potential quarter-final opponents, if they come through this, Sweden, their goal today, what minute was it scored in?
66.
66.
Want to hear another one?
Go for it.
Padraig Harrington, who we have on the show a little bit later on tonight. Guess what his odds are for the Dubai Duty Free Irish Open?
66 to 1.
That they are.
The last time I was at Wembley, I got something to eat and I got the receipt. What was the bill? 1966. But they must do that to everyone, so people can do it. But seriously, it was.
You'd want to eat a fairly big dinner and then go, oh, it's 1966.
Well, London prices, it was probably a bag of chips.
It was probably about a pack of crisps at that stage. England have a corner which has been gathered by David Ospina, some fumbling in the box, but nothing really serious. The big news, of course, coming out of tonight's game, or at least before it, no James Rodriguez. Not even, it seems, in the substitutes list for Colombia. Obviously, the rest of the squad can be listed as a substitute, but he's not fit enough to be included in that number. And for England, the big stars are all back.
So that's his last game of the World Cup played already.
Yeah, because football's coming home, quite clearly. It's like the hubris level was turned up to 11 on ITV before the match. It was amazing.
Yeah, but if we were in that position...
Yeah. And we said it out in the office as well.
And those teams were left. Like, look at the hubris about 2002.
We could have won the World Cup, Kieran.
We could have won the World Cup. Sure, South Korea got to the semi-final, so we could have won it. So, like, we get carried away.
We didn't pay as much money to get there as South Korea would have done, though.
But you do look at the teams that are left and think, you know, who's going to be in the final? Like, you just throw a blanket over them and you don't know. And, like, there's this thing, even the assumption they'll beat Sweden. And you look, Sweden finished above the Netherlands in qualifying, knocked Italy out in the playoffs, have won 3 games at this World Cup. And we're in a tough group, Germany and Mexico. So I wouldn't
so
take
organised as well.
Yeah, and that they're European Under-21 champions a couple of years ago. So like they have a bit of pedigree of young players coming through and doing things the right way. And they've improved dramatically from when we played them at the Euros 2 years ago.
They absolutely have. Well, not everything's going through Zlatan.
Yeah.
Which was, for them, you know, people talk about his great goal scoring record. He was a blunt instrument in major finals.
I'd love to know what he's been doing for these matches.
Fuming.
Absolutely. Sitting there watching it, crying his eyes out.
Doing plenty of ads and endorsements, everything.
He's going to be well.
Flogging credit cards or something, is it?
In fairness, as kind of recompense goes, to be out in LA getting paid loads of money by a credit card company and then also taking money from LA Galaxy, you know, it's not a bad way to kind of pat yourself in the back and say it's okay, Zlatan, it's all right.
Yeah.
You get there in the end. But yeah, England's doing all the pressing in the early stages here. Nearly 8 minutes gone. England 0, Colombia 0 is the latest score from the Spartak Stadium as a cross from the corner is sent into the box, and Colombia are trying to break now, even without James Rodriguez. And they've left themselves open enough, England at the back. Kyle Walker's trying to guide it out wide to the right. We'll keep tabs on this one. This fixture, the last time it was played at a World Cup, it was
98, wasn't it?
1998.
Yeah.
Not only that, it gave us a Kirsty MacColl song.
Now it's England 2, Colombia 0, and I know just how those Colombians feel. It is not in my nature to ever pick the winning team. Sometimes I think I'm happy, then I remember it's a dream. No, it isn't in my nature.
An all too rare thing, an actual World Cup match that gives us an actual song.
It's almost like a match report as well. It's not just kind of referencing the fact there was a match or anything.
No, well, it's kind of more.
Where the score line is
included. The lyrics, it's
it's
very much in passing that England 2, Colombia 0.
It just happens to be going on.
There seems to be a bit more going on in Kirsty's life that she was singing about in that song. I think
ever so slightly, yeah. But it's one of those rare things where a football result is encapsulated in a song.
It is, yeah. We're chatting about this, trying to think of a few more. Like, there's so many football songs, like say Half Man, Half Biscuit. Their career is based in football reference. Like, they've referenced everyone from
Dukla Prague.
Dukla Prague, Elton Wellesby, Bobby Charlton, Brian Moore's head looks uncannily like London Planetarium, and the famous lines. And famously, there were great Tranmere Rovers fans. There are quite a few songs about Tranmere Rovers. And then the Hitchers from Limerick had a song called Strachan, which seems to go into detail about one particular game. I don't know what game it is, though. But there's quite a few players and incidents mentioned in it.
It might also be the only song that references Gary Kelly. We've actually got a little bit of it here.
Right.
In all restraint, 22, know damn well who the air gets even thicker. The keeper's quick, Gordon Strachan's quicker. The gap unfilled, he makes the kill.
There you go, the Hitchers and Strachan.
Incidentally, Kirsty had a major influence on probably the most celebrated Irish album of all time. Do you know what it was?
It was, this is making my music nerd senses thing. It was U2's Joshua Tree.
Yeah,
she sequenced the album.
She came up with the track listing. Yeah, they couldn't figure it out in the ways bands and producers get tied up in knots over something. She just said this one.
She ranked them in order of the songs she liked.
Yeah, well, she was obviously she was married to Steve Lillywhite, a long-time U2 producer, so that was a connection.
Yeah, there you go. I fear we've veered slightly off the sporting path.
Everyone's watching the match.
It's grand, yeah. Nobody's kind of paying attention to us, so it's grand. We can kind of get away with a little bit more tonight. If you want to get in contact, you can do, as I say, 53106 is the number to text. The Newsround is brought to you this evening with Screwfix.ie, championing the trade with a choice of over 20,000 quality trade products. Where do we begin, Mr. Neil Tracy?
Well, we're going to have to start in Moscow, England and Colombia in the World Cup. 11 minutes played now, still scoreless. As we said, the team news, the major news was that James Rodriguez was missing the game because of a calf injury, and as you say, he's not even on the bench in the squad that they submitted to FIFA. In full, they go with Ospina in goals, Sanchez, Mina, Mojica and Arias at the back. Carlos Sanchez, Jefferson Lerma and Wilmar Barrios are going to be the midfield three, with Radamel Falcao up front, with one Quintero and one Cuadrado either side of him. The England team much changed from the game against Belgium as we expected. Only Jordan Pickford and John Stones are starting their fourth game in a row. In full, they've gone with Pickford and goals, Maguire, Walker and Stones at the back. The wing-backs are Trippier and Ashley Young, Jordan Henderson in midfield and Lingard, Sterling and Ali in behind Harry Kane, the same team they would have started with against Tunisia in their opening match of the tournament.
Who's up for another sign?
Give it to us.
Rahini Mick has been in contact. He texted us to say, lads, it's 19 degrees Celsius now, which is
66 Fahrenheit.
Oh, very good.
All signs are pointing to it.
Yeah.
It's coming home.
My God.
If I remember,
chills.
Do you remember at the Football Writers Association, Jurgen Klopp either made a speech or he sent a speech to be read out there, but it was very interesting what he said about it. I want all the reporters to take the letters or the figures 1966 off your keyboards and just shut up about it. And you have a decent team and they're good lads and take the pressure off them. But sure,
the best way to do it is to actually go and win the thing. Yeah. And we were talking about this in the paper review on Sunday.
Yeah, you're really
you want
curious.
a quantum leap kind of look at it.
But the funny thing is, like, it would obviously be a massive deal, but the Premier League's such a bloated monster. Like, that in a few weeks...
That'll take over again in a few weeks, yeah.
Because that is still where the vast majority of football fans' affection lie. Like, it's interesting, if you look at the flags of those games, it's often the Scunthorpe United and the Rochdales and Accrington Stanley. Like, you don't see many Chelsea, Manchester United, Liverpool flags, whatever.
Yeah, there's a far deeper connection with the regions, they call it, I guess, the lesser clubs. England will be playing who in the next round, Neil?
They'll be playing Sweden through to the quarterfinals for the first time since USA 94. They ground out a 1-0 win against Switzerland, deservingly so as well, to book their place in the last 8. Very impressive. Despite creating the best of the chances, they needed a slice of luck to score their goal, as we said, on 66 minutes. It was Emil Forsberg's shot from the edge of the area. It took a wicked deflection off Manuel Akanji and it beat Jan Sommer into the top corner. Switzerland also reduced to 10 men for the final seconds of that game after defender Michael Lang was sent off for a last man foul on Martin Olsen just outside the penalty area. Had initially been given as a penalty, but VAR brought it back for a free kick.
Should he have stayed? I don't know if you saw the incident, Kieran. Should he have, is this in the rules that he could have been brought back on? I don't know, because he was given the red card, but ultimately it was a free kick outside the box, and I think there was a covering defender there.
Oh, there definitely wasn't a covering defender.
No?
No, definitely. And the referee made a point, actually, of when he came back from VAR and when said it was just outside the box, he had already sent him off, so he held up his red card and just pointed at it.
Oh, by the way, that still stands.
Yeah, so we could all know around the ground.
He was one of the better gesticulators of the referees in terms of VAR, because they haven't got the grips of this thing. You want to see them going at it like an Aussie rules umpire, where he gives it the full thing, or a rather more a Billy Bowden in cricket, whereby he got really full on with his noticing it was a leg by, so he'd be like...
Frank Drebin in The Naked Gun. Remember when he was doing baseball?
Bingo. Exactly like that. Mr. Burns, when he's also a baseball coach or a softball coach in The Simpsons. That's exactly what he wants. Tug my cap, not once, not twice, but thrice. Which is what they're doing at Wimbledon, because it's sunny there again today, Neil.
Yeah, and there were a couple of upsets this afternoon, one in the men's and one's in the women's draw. In the men's draw was 7th seed Dominic Thiem. He's out, retired in the third set of his opening round match against veteran Marcus Bagdatis. The French Open finalist had been 2 sets down when he conceded the match. Chance there for England, for Harry Kane heading over the bar. But no such drama for Rafael Nadal. His quest for a third title is up and running. 17-time Grand Slammer easily dispatched Dudi Sela in the first round today, wasting little time in a 6-3, 6-3, 6-2 victory. It was actually Nadal's first appearance on court since winning the French Open last month, and he says it was great to be back.
I think I went to the net a couple of times. When I had the chance with the forehand, I think I take the advantage on the point. For moments, my serve worked well. Later in the third, I think I served a little bit worse, but in general terms, the serve worked well. Still to improve a little bit more the second serve. But yes, it's the first round, and not easy, never, and especially it's not easy, never in any surface, but especially here on grass without playing a match before.
There you go, Rafa Nadal. Elsewhere,
4th seed Alexander Zverev and 5th seed Juan Martin Del Potro safely into round 2. Novak Djokovic currently on court at the moment as well. He's 2 sets up in his first round match. Today's other shock was in the women's draw, and it was 2-time former champion Petra Kvitova falling at the first hurdle. She was dumped out in 3 sets by Alexandra Sasnovich of Belarus. 24-year-old Sasnovich has never actually been beyond the third round of a Grand Slam event. Meanwhile, defending champion Garbiñe Muguruza, easy straight sets winner against Naomi Brody of Great Britain, and world number 1 Simona Halep was a comfortable winner also. She was up against Kurumi Nara of Japan.
Ivan Yates had backed Petra Kvitova to win the Wimbledon Venus Rosewater dish this year. Nice to see that Ivan's right as usual. Congratulations. He should become a bookmaker. Elsewhere, the Irish Open's obviously getting underway up in Ballyliffin this week, and Off the Ball will be coming to you live from there on the Inishowen Peninsula from tomorrow right through until the end of the week. In case you're wondering where all the A-stringers are for that Dubai Duty Free Irish Open, we'll be speaking to Padraig Harrington a little bit later on, but I don't want to give a spoiler alert for anything that's going to be coming within this interview tonight, but some of it is explosive, particularly this one revelation from the 3-time major winner.
First time in Donegal, so that's another bonus.
First time in Donegal.
Yeah, this came up with Padraig, I think a year ago or something, came up in an interview as well, that he'd never been. Like I'm actually only back from Donegal.
Oh, it was his first time in
2
Donegal.
hours ago.
First time in Donegal, so
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
another bonus.
I thought he was just saying the tournament or something.
Yeah, because I was there for the last few days and I left because of an invitation of golfers. So I came back 2 hours ago. So the last thing I want to be doing is surrounded by golfers. It's bad enough in here when Joe's here.
Yeah, but listen, the stuff he goes on with off air is as bad. You know, I'd hate that Richard Cooper will actually take more of that on Tap Match later on. But the first time, is there any counties you've never been in, Kieran? I'm sure everywhere your GA.
Yeah, I would say being everywhere at this stage. Yeah.
So a couple of people outside have shared the never been in Donegal thing, and I'd be one of them.
Yeah, well,
I've been once.
It's one of the main reasons is there's no rail link. So I think if there's a rail link, it would more people would have made it. But it's an
also very far away.
Well, it's no.
It's even far away from a lot of places in Donegal.
But it's no further. It's no further than Kerry, West Cork, or Connemara, where far more people go. I think, but there's rail links west and to the south, and I think also people just have this perception that it's further away than it actually is. You know, like it's 4 hour drive.
I remember we were talking to Ollie Horgan, the Finn Harps manager, a couple of years ago, and we were doing the League of Ireland podcast, me and Oisin. And this thing of, that trip to Ballybuffet, that long trip to Ballybuffet, he got so fed up of people talking. He's like, it's not that long. No. Get over yourselves. It's it's fine. It's just up the road. You play a football match like anybody else. Like, we have to go literally everywhere else and do that trip.
Yeah.
We have to go down to Waterford.
We have to go down to Cove, like when they're in the first division.
It's insane. People definitely need to get over themselves. Texter in says, why am I sick with nerves that England might win? Rationally, it doesn't make any sense. I'm not even Colombian. Anyone else feel like that? Asks Sean. I'm sure there are one or two. I'm definitely on the England side, and it's coming home this evening. That is definitely the case. But it is nice to see, Neil, that the GA have their fingers on the pulse of the public want once more.
Yeah, they're going to go head to head, it looks like anyway, with the World Cup final after they confirm that one of the Super 8 games is going to throw in at the exact same time as kick-off in the showpiece in Moscow. So it's the Super 8's game between Kerry and Galway, 4 p.m. start on Sunday, July 15th, which is the exact same time as kick-off at the Luzhniki Stadium in Moscow. Meanwhile, Dublin's meeting with Donegal in the Super 8s in the other group. That's been confirmed for Croke Park the previous evening at 7 o'clock this round.
This is completely mad.
I almost,
absolutely,
in a bizarre way, I almost admire the GA's stoicism that in their heads, I'm presuming, they're only looking after their games. They don't give a monkey's what else is on.
There were quite a few championship games moved that clashed with the Champions League final a few weeks ago. When obviously Liverpool, Real Madrid. Saturday evening there was a few games on.
2 years ago, the Leinster football final. Granted, it was Ireland playing in Euro 2016 that time, but
I think I would guess that, like many people, the assumption was made that the World Cup final is on the evening. That normally it's on around 8 o'clock. And if this has only occurred to people, and because of the new calendar, there's very little wriggle room. Like, they really have to put a game on the Sunday.
Surely it's
but
something
Kerry
you
Galway,
check.
Yeah. But
Sunday 2
I have to say, till somebody mentioned to me that it was 4 p.m. a few weeks ago, I always presumed that there generally are. They always they're the evening kickoff.
2002. I was thinking back on these, are the ones that I can remember. It's not like 86. I don't know what the time difference would have been. 5-6 hours from here in Mexico City, so it would have been on possibly early evening. 1990 was definitely on the evening because that was on night time in Rome. 94 was on in the evening because it was in Pasadena. So it was on like midday or something stupid there, and like 8 o'clock here.
That's right, it was.
94, as I say there, 98 was definitely on the evening. 2002 was on in mid-afternoon. It was on like lunchtime.
12, I think, was 12 or half 12.
Stupid time to be having a World Cup final. It's not right.
But like, if you look at that Super 8's group, the one Kerry and Galway are in, and the other teams are likely to be in it, by a mile, that's the most attractive game, and it's going up against the World Cup final.
Do you know what the easy solution is? Do you know what the easy solution is?
Move the World Cup final.
No.
Play the World Cup final in Newbridge.
No, play the Dublin Donegal match at a different location. You can put Kerry and Galway in at 7 o'clock on the Saturday.
I want to hear that conversation between Tom
Parnell Park. Play in Parnell Park. That's a real home. I keep being told
might be the most popular solution,
but it's like, there's a few things we know. The World Cup final is always rubbish, but you always watch it.
Didn't they do this in 1990?
So you have to watch the World Cup final. And a lot of people would like to watch Kerry and Galway as well. So, like, to be honest,
why don't you have two tellies in the sitting room, Kieran?
I do. Well, I have a screen, a laptop screen.
All right,
so that's one of the, two screens. So, but anyway, it'd be interesting. Will it have an impact on the crowd?
I could see it being moved. To be honest, they might realise the mistake. I think between now and
Do you know what?
10 days or so.
But the thing is, there's very little wriggle room. The following week, because the following week you have more Super 8 games, then there's one blank week, and then on to the next Super 8s.
That should be
and
the
all our
worry.
semi-finals the week after that.
That should be the worry from the GA's point of view, is that some fans figure that because there's a couple of them within the space of the group, that at least one of the games is, and I don't use the term lightly, disposable. That you can almost go without seeing one and catch the other couple. And maybe move on with your life, as opposed to you must be there for every single one of them, because I'm not sure if, the clashing with the World Cup final is going to be that big a deal or have that much of a bump on the attendance. I might be wrong.
No. Who knows?
I might be wrong. More trouble at Bray.
Yeah, Bray Wanderers say they're willing to listen to any offers for their players after failing to pay their players' wages in June. A statement from club chairman Jerry Mulvey this evening says they're reluctantly allowing players to leave for the right offer. He also added as well that the club cannot guarantee wages until the end of the season. They lost on Friday night against Limerick, their 11th away defeat in a row.
Yeah, rock bottom of the Premier Division. A lot of people may have seen this one coming from a long way off, close observers to the League of Ireland. Dan Gorman had tweeted on Saturday that apparently Bray Wanderers players failed to receive payment on Friday prior to the crunch clash with Limerick. The club provided no food post-match, so the bus had to stop at a shop to allow players to buy dinner. The chairman has asked players to wait until Tuesday, obviously today, for possible payment. That obviously hasn't come to pass, and Bray players are now free to look at other clubs. A couple of them have obviously tweeted since then. I don't think the senior players are that keen on the younger ones speaking publicly on this one, but a couple of the other ones had tweeted to say it would have been nice to know this 3 weeks ago before I signed, when I had other offers on the table. Just a ludicrous situation. The licensing issue has to be looked at big style in terms of Premier Division clubs, because Bray is one that a lot of people have seen coming a long way off. Even the trouble
is it possible for Bray ever to make money, to keep its head above water? Like, it's never, even though there's a population in the town, it never seems to.
But there's no,
even at its when the club has been going at its, whatever you would call a peak for Bray, it's never got really the numbers through the gate.
There'd be a lot of there's more. I wouldn't speak for the Bray residents. I'd imagine there's a lot of people who would use it as part of a commuter belt and might travel in, from Wicklow into Dublin to work, and might necessarily have an affinity with Bray. There's like a lot. This isn't just a Bray situation. There's a lot of legwork for most League of Ireland clubs to do on the ground in their general vicinity, and a lot of them are actually getting on top of that now. I'm not too sure how well or otherwise Bray have managed that in the past 18 months. I don't think the troubles that they've had have attracted more people through the gates at the Carlisle grounds, and I definitely don't think this is going to help either.
Because if you look at somewhere like Bray, I would take a fair guess that the population of Bray in the last 20 years must have gone up by 50-60%. So you would think there's more people out there that you could, possibly attract through the turnstiles, and they're just not getting.
By your rationale,
it's tough for people though to kind of instantly have an affinity with the team just because they now live there.
But you have to sell yourself to them. You have to come up with promotions in the schools and so on. I'm sure. I don't know what they've done. I don't want to be just saying they haven't done this if they have, because I don't honestly know. So, but like I know you mentioned, like the Bowls, you see the way Bowls market games often, that works very well.
Bowls do very well. To be fair to them, Rovers do very well. Pats have upped their game as well in the last 18 months or so. There are still those, unfortunately, that having the means to do it is another thing, because PROs and all that kind of thing don't magic themselves out of thin air. Free time doesn't magic itself out of thin air. Still scoreless, by the way, as England lofted another free kick and it's gone wide. Harry Maguire trying to challenge for that one, and his head is in his hands. He thought he could have got something more on. I think England have gotten a corner out of this one. But yeah, onwards we'll move to Ballyliffin, because the tea times are out, Neil.
Yeah, they are, and Graham McDowell is going to be the first of the Irish to tee off this week at the Dubai Duty Free Irish Open in Ballyliffin. He'll have a 8:20 start on Thursday morning. Former US Open champion is going to be alongside the defending champion John Ram and Rafa Cabrera Bello. 10 minutes later, Padraig Harrington, the 2007 winner, will take to the course. He'll be alongside Chris Wood and Thailand's Kiridash Afi-Barnrat. Rory McIlroy is going to be going out in the afternoon on Thursday. He'll be out at 1:10 alongside Torbjorn Olsen and Matt Fitzpatrick. Then at 1:20, another former winner Shane Lowry will be playing with Lee Westwood and Belgium's Thomas Peters. There are 13 Irish golfers in the field this week. Among them as well, you have Paul McGinley, Darren Clark and Paul Dunn. Anne has texted us on 53106 to say, off the ball, please, I don't know if this is addressed specifically to us, to golfers, or just people in general. She says, OTB, please stay away from Donegal. It's beautiful and unspoiled. Don't ruin it.
Thank you for that, Anne. Also,
no, I better not. I'm going to say something. I'll get myself into trouble.
Richard has been
the
on as
owners
well.
of golf courses in Donegal. So I'm not going to say it.
Lads, isn't Donegal covered with snow and ice for 8 months of the year or something? It's kind of like being north of the ice wall in Game of Thrones. Snowy.
Well, I've sunburned from being up there the last couple of days. So.
The only time I was up there, it was absolutely glorious weather as well.
Right.
I kind of don't want to go back because it was so good that one time.
Well, Anne's warned us off, so none of us are going. Just to let you know, the outside broadcast and interviews from Ballyliffin won't be happening this week because of Anne's say so. So they're all going to be called back home. We're going to be
tell Nathan to come home.
Listen, it's going to break his heart, but he's going to have to come back home. Ulster. I suppose they needed to. They've got decent experience on the coaching ticket.
Yeah, Simon Easterby has linked up with Ulster on a temporary basis anyway, the Irish forwards coach. He's going to work alongside Jared Payne, Aaron Dundon and Dwayne Peel as the province wait for their new head coach Dan McFarland to link up with the squad. McFarland's appointment was announced in April, but the Scottish Rugby Union are seemingly digging their heels in on his contract and they're refusing to release him from his current role until January. That's when his 9-month notice period expires. Also today, Manchester United have confirmed the surprise signing of goalkeeper Lee Grant from Stoke City on a 2-year deal. It doesn't look like he's going to be challenging David De Gea, or it doesn't look like De Gea is going to be leaving for that matter. Lee Grant, it just looks like he's going to be sitting there as the third man up.
He's signed the Richard Wright deal.
Yeah.
Basically go to a big club.
I could never begrudge a goalkeeper who's done his time to sign one of those deals.
Right.
Money.
Lee Grant is
it's 31. Like your SSIA or something, isn't it?
Lee Grant is 30. He's 31, is he, Neil? I think he's 31. I saw today. He's signed from Manchester United, so he's probably on more money than he's been at Derby or at Stoke or anything.
But he's not even going to sit on the bench like as a third choice. I know it's just money.
He's 35.
But you look at Pepe. Oh, he's
an old man.
Fair enough. But you look at Pepe Reina. Like I was looking through Pepe Reina a few days ago. What he's won, and he's all like loads of medals with Spain, but he never played. But he's all these medals, World Cup, European Championship medals.
Pepe Reina is a hell of a vibes man, though.
He used to always give it socks in the celebrations as well after those finals.
That's irreplaceable.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what you want. That's what Lee Grant should be modelling himself after.
As you say, the Bez of Spain. Yeah.
You never.
Fair play to him, I say.
Fair play. 35 years of age, rocking up to Old Trafford, and getting a hell of a lot of money. Finally, Callum Chambers signing a new deal at Arsenal, Neil.
Yeah, long-term contract. It's believed to be around 4 years. He actually only signed a 2-year contract extension last year, but it appears Unai Emery is keen for him to stay at the club, so he's going to be signing on for around 4 years. 3 England caps, but obviously missed out on the World Cup squad.
Yeah, still 0-0. Half an hour mark has been reached in the Spartak Stadium in Moscow. Colombia 0, England 0. But we'll leave the final word on the news round to Ray from Galway. Says, lads, just filled up with diesel, and the fill was 66 litres. We'll be speaking to Kevin Kilban in Moscow next.
It's coming home, it's coming, football's coming home, it's coming.
Off the Ball on News Talk.
Thanks to Screwfix.ie, championing the trade with a choice of over 20,000 quality trade products.
News Talk is handing the airwaves over to you. We want to know what really matters to you and what issues you want us to tackle on your behalf. Email info@newstalk.com and have your say. News Talk.